program here at the Kinsman Library, we are going to discover all of the wonders of nature in your own backyard. It's summer discovery here at Kinsman Library, and we are actually out at the Pymatuning Creek. Look how cool that is. Our friend Ryan from the ODNR, Ohio Department of Natural Resources, is here to tell you a little bit about this beautiful area.
Hey, I'm Ryan Moss. I work with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources in the Division of Natural Areas and Preserves. Today we're out here on Pymatuning Creek. It's a wild and scenic designated river. 30.6 miles of Pymatuning Creek is designated as wild and scenic. The difference between a wild designation and a scenic designation is depending on the natural qualities of the stream. Wild is the highest designation you can get in the state, meaning that it has the highest qualities. It isn't impounded, there's very less bridge crossings, you have very high quality water, whereas scenic is also a very good designation, but also is less than the wild designation, where it goes through like incorporated limits such as Orangeville.
Hi, we're still here at the Pymatuning Creek, and I would like to introduce Jamie, our other friend from ODNR.
Hi everyone, we're here at the beautiful Shenango Wildlife Area, which is part of an extensive wildlife area system in the state of Ohio. Wildlife areas are properties owned and managed by the ODNR Division of Wildlife, and what sets wildlife areas apart from other properties owned by the state of Ohio is that wildlife areas are just that, they're wild. So maybe you've been to a state park where there's maintained trails and signs, and it's a really comfortable place to go for a nice, comfortable walk. But in our wildlife areas, the idea is to keep it as comfortable for wildlife as we can. So there's excellent opportunities that abound for hunting and fishing and trapping, as well as wildlife watching. We keep it as wild as possible so that all those critters that call Shenango Wildlife Area home are as comfortable as they can be, while we can still accommodate human activity too. So the most important thing when visiting any wildlife area here in Ohio is to stay as close to the parking area as you can if you don't have a lot of experience traversing the wild areas. Let folks know where you're going, tell a friend or family member where you're parking, how long you'll be out. That way if you get turned around, somebody knows to come looking for you. But hopefully if you stay close to your vehicle, you don't wander off too far, as easy as it can be to be distracted by all the beautiful wildlife here. Just keep in mind to be safe and take it easy, take baby steps at first, and then as you become more comfortable, you can venture out a little bit farther every time.
So as Jamie discussed earlier, when you come out to these wildlife areas to enjoy, whether you're hunting or fishing or trapping or just, recreating in general, it is safe to be aware that when you come out to areas like this, that there are things that can hurt you. So things such as ticks. There are a lot of ticks out here. So when you're coming out in areas like this, make sure you wear long pants, or if you're going to you can wear a repellent like DEET or permethrin. You can spray on your pants to repel ticks as well. Deer ticks in Ohio can carry Lyme disease, so you just want to be very careful with that. Other things is when you're walking through the woods, there is a lot of poison ivy. So if you get poison ivy, make sure that when you do get home that you wash with like a degreasing type soap, like Dawn dish soap and stuff, to make sure you get the oils off of the poison ivy so that you aren't affected by that. Also, if you're recreating, make sure that if you're out here fishing or you're kayaking or canoeing, that you wear your life jacket. You don't necessarily have to wear your life jacket at all times, but it is a good way to remain safe, especially when you're walking in along the creek here. It is very thick mud. You can sink in the mud. You can fall out of your canoe into water and get tangled up in the vegetation. So it is a good idea to wear your life jacket and always try to remain safe when you're out recreating. So one of the things that makes Pymatuning Creek so special is that it is very remote. It's not very developed. You have this free-flowing stream free of impoundments, and it has these very large wetland complexes, which makes it special and provides habitat for plenty of different species of fish and bugs and some of the macroinvertebrates that call it home. Talking about the fish a little bit, there's over 50 different species of fish in Pymatuning Creek. providing anglers opportunities with plenty of different game fish, including the very large northern pike, which can reach up to 4.5 feet in length and up to 60 pounds. So they can get very large and provide great fishing opportunities. Other game fish such as largemouth bass are prevalent through Pymatuning Creek as well. Also, you can catch yellow perch. A lot of people think you have to go up to Lake Erie to catch really nice yellow perch, but you can come here and fill a cooler full of yellow perch fairly easily. Also, if you're into pan fishing, there's plenty of bluegills, pumpkin seed, warmouth, and green sunfish as well that you can catch. And actually, there were just a few of them swimming around right here. Also in Pymatuning Creek, there are 4 different species of catfish, including, they're all bullhead species, including the white bullhead, black bullhead, brown and yellow bullhead catfish.
Hi everyone. So here at Shenango Wildlife Area, there's an abundance of wild species to enjoy. And right now, I'm using my ears more than my eyes to embrace what's all around me. So I hear a willow flycatcher calling over my right shoulder, and it kind of sounds like it's sneezing. It's saying, "Fitzpew" or "Achoo." And that's a bird that stands out. And then I hear red-winged blackbirds calling. They sound kind of like a carunk, kind of wah. And then I hear red-headed woodpeckers calling off into the distance, and they have white patches on their wings, so they stand out when they're flying. I can see those white patches in the distance and the bright red head. There's many different species of woodpeckers that call Shenango home, but that's one that's a little bit harder to find than the other species. Yellow warblers are flying around us, barn swallows, and bigger birds too, like you might be familiar with great blue herons and green herons. They call Shenango home as well. So there's lots of birds, but we don't want to forget about all the other critters too, like amphibians. Bullfrogs were just calling, and they're taking a little bit of a siesta. They're napping at the moment. It's a little hot out here, but they were calling. And then green frogs, they sound like plucking a banjo string. The bullfrogs have a more robust call, a little bit deeper call. And then river otters, American mink, we just spotted a muskrat swimming behind us. And so there's just so many wild species. And if you want to learn more about identifying the critters that you might see here at Shenango and other places in Northeast Ohio, call 1-800-WILDLIFE or visit wildohio.gov to get a copy of a free field guide. We have an abundance of field guides on mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and so much more. So reach out to us and we'd be happy to help connect you with identification of Ohio's wildlife.
Also in Pymatuning Creek, we have 267 different species of aquatic macroinvertebrates, or bugs that live in the water. Among those, we have 37 different species of dragonflies. One of those dragonflies is the brush-tipped emerald, which is state endangered in Ohio. We also have different species of mayflies, stoneflies, craneflies, damselflies, and other dragonflies that are prevalent throughout Pymatuning Creek. And among the bugs, not quite a bug, but if you look at the different mollusks in Pymatuning Creek, there's 11 different species of mollusks or freshwater mussels as well, including the federally and state endangered clubshell mussel. They need very high water quality and very protected habitat, so it's important that we maintain this habitat, and that's what makes Pymatuning Creek so special, is that it has plenty of habitat for all sorts of rare and endangered species. Bugs that call Pymatuning Creek home. We have different species of dragonflies and damselflies, and one of the cool things with dragonflies and damselflies is they go through what's called incomplete metamorphosis. So when you hear the term dragonfly nymph, that nymph means that it goes through 3 stages, whereas complete metamorphosis means it goes through 4 stages. The one thing that the dragonfly does is it goes from an egg to this larval, or to this nymph state right here, and instead of pupating like a cocoon would in a butterfly, is it actually emerges as an adult dragonfly. So they crawl out of the water, they emerge from this case here, which is the nymph casing, and then they turn into the dragonflies. As you could probably see here in the background, they're flying all over this spatter dock here along the creek.
Hi, I'm Jamie with the Ohio Division of Wildlife, and in the spring and early summer we often encounter young animals. It's the time for wildlife to reproduce, and that means babies. But please keep in mind that when you see a young wild animal, it isn't necessarily abandoned. There's a number of reasons why you might see an animal that you think is orphaned or abandoned, and that's because a lot of animals are cared for by just one parent. White-tailed deer are a perfect example. You may encounter a young fawn with spots laying in a flower bed or along a path at your favorite park, and please don't assume that that animal is abandoned and it should be rescued. It's cared for by the adult, the doe, its mother, and that mother goes off to feed, leaving its baby in a place where she sees it to be safe. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to us, but it makes sense to the doe, to the mom. So the best thing that we can do is to leave it alone, keep our pets contained and be responsible pet owners, and keep kids away just to enjoy from a distance. Don't handle the baby, even if it's a deer, if it's a raccoon, a baby bird. The best thing to do is try to leave it alone. It depends on the scenario though. If you do find a baby bird that has fallen from a nest, maybe during a high wind event, go ahead and pick it up and put it back in the nest if you can reach it. It's an old wives' tale that if you handle a baby bird, that the mother won't return. Birds actually don't have a sense of smell typically, so songbirds will be okay if you handle them and put them back in the nest. If you can't reach, just get a little basket, for instance, put some nesting material in it and hang it as high up in the tree as you can. The best answer is to reunite that baby with its natural mother, and then everybody will be happy. So if you have any questions, you need advice, please always call a professional first at 1-800-WILDLIFE or visit wildohio.gov for more information. Hi there, I'm Jamie and this is my colleague Ryan, and we have some animals here that we want to talk to you about today that live in the Pymatuning Creek area here at Shenango Wildlife Area. This is a barred owl. This owl likes to live where there's trees, and I say barred with emphasizing D because there's another owl called a barn owl, and they're all white almost. So this is a barred owl because of the barring on its feathers. We have here a wood duck that likes to live where there's trees because they nest in woods or in trees. The American mink likes to be near Pymatuning Creek because their favorite food is fish. Bobcats are on Ohio's landscape, and they most certainly live in and around Trumbull County here at Shenango Wildlife Area because they like trees and creeks too, where they can find food like rodents and birds, and they may even eat fish as well, just like the mink. And another fish eater here is the northern water snake. They are in Pymatuning Creek where they can find fish and crawdads and all kinds of tasty things. This is not a water moccasin. It's not a venomous species. Very harmless. Just keep your distance like you should with all wildlife. Respect and enjoy it. And then here we have a spotted salamander, our Ohio state amphibian. They like to be near wetlands and have these beautiful yellow spots that run down the lengths of their bodies. And then Ryan's going to tell us about fish.
So what Jamie's holding over there is a yellow perch. The yellow perch is a very popular game fish, especially in Lake Erie in Ohio, but they're very prevalent throughout Pymatuning Creek as well. And one of the predators of the yellow perch is the fish that I'm holding, which is the northern pike. It's one of the larger predator fish that we have in the state of Ohio. And as you can see, they have really big teeth inside of their mouth. So they can pretty much eat anything they can fit inside of their mouth, including some larger fish, and including even ducks such as like wood ducks and younger ducks that you might see.
We want to give a great shout out, a great thank you to Jamie and Ryan from the ODNR for coming out to talk to us about all these cool animals. Thanks for joining us on Backyard Safari Week.